Hello everyone, my name is Albert and you're very welcome to our wildflower safari. So what we'd like you to do is, while the weather is nice and everyone is off, is head out and discover some of the amazing wildflowers that are now growing in our gardens, along our hedgerows and in the countryside. So when you're heading out, a few key things you need to bring. Of course you need to bring a pencil, which is really important, because when you look at a wildflower, get up close to it and notice the shape of its leaves, the number of petals, and make a record of all of these, and that helps you later when you're trying to identify stuff. Also, we made a little sketch pad using a cornflakes box, so a bit of recycling or upcycling there as well, so that's a really good thing to bring as well. And for the more mathematically minded, if you want to bring a ruler, you can measure the different heights as well. Now, our wildflowers are really important for our wildlife, so we have these lovely guides here that come from the National Biodiversity Centre in Waterford. This one is on butterflies, this one is on bees, and they're really great to help you because wildflowers are excellent for our native insects, and having wildflowers in your garden, encouraging them as well, helps nature as well too. So you could get these Biodiversity Centre. You can also log on your record, so if you find a plant, you can put your record on there as well. You can also use your phone as well, which is a great camera, and I think that's for another use as well. Also as well, another great little activity is to take the shape of the leaf. So you build up a record of what they look like. So when you go back, so sketch out the leaf in your pad, get someone to cut it carefully out with the scissors, and also it's just cornflakes one as well, and you can stick them up, or you can put a little string to them as well. So please do head out there, enjoy the springtime, enjoy the wildflowers, and remember, look, draw, photograph, but please do not pick and leave them for nature. Harry, what flower are we looking at today?
Daisy.
The daisy, or the day's eye. And the day's eye is one of our prettiest spring flowers, and it's found in lawns, and the one here is found growing in the front of our house in the gravel. So it's a really tough little plant, and it's really easy to recognise. It has the most beautiful white petals with a little yellow eye, and also it has lovely pink tipped as well, or purple tipped as well. And I was told a lovely story by a Polish lady many years ago that the daisies with the purple are getting ready to go out for their night, and the daisies who are too young to go out don't have any purple on them. Now, the old story goes as well that the daisy, if you could stand on 7 daisies, it's a sign that spring has arrived. And really now the daisies are everywhere, and the weather has been beautiful. Also, the Irish name for daisy is Noni, which is a lovely little name as well. And the daisy is really good for our early butterflies. So I often see green-veined white, don't really see bumblebees on it. And every child in school should have learned, or should have done, how to make a daisy chain. It's an absolutely brilliant activity to do. So head out and see if you can find a daisy somewhere in your community. We're looking at a plant today with a sting in its leaf. What is that plant called, Harry?
Nettle.
The nettle. And from a very young age, we can all identify the nettle because most of us will have crawled on it and got stung, and it's not very pleasant, and a lot of people don't like the nettle, but the nettle is very good. Harry, why is the nettle very important for wildlife?
Has juice.
It has juice. And what feeds on the leaves? What feeds on the leaves?
Butterflies.
The caterpillars of our butterflies. So the small tortoiseshell, the peacock, the red amber, all of our colourful butterflies, they all feed on the leaves of the nettles. So if we like butterflies in our garden, it's important that we leave nettles. Now, thankfully, nettles are common enough, but if you want to grow them, I'd recommend leaving them in a pot or an old bucket or something like that, so they don't spread too far. And of course, if you get stung by a nettle, Harry, what should you use if you get stung by a nettle? You should use a dock leaf. So you get a dock leaf and you get the juice out of the stem and you rub it on, and it's lovely and cooling. So at this time of the year, carefully check out the nettle patches, and you might see on them, you might see a leaf that's rolled up, and if you carefully open that leaf, you can look inside and you'll find a tiny caterpillar. So head outside and see if you can find a nettle. Now, Harry, what flower are we looking at now?
The violets?
The violets. And violets are going to become quite scarce. And why, Harry, why do you think violets become scarce?
People destroying the land, people picking them as well.
Yeah,
the
people-
two main things.
Yeah,
anyway.
so people picking, overpicking. And the violet is a very pretty flower. It's lovely and purple, it's got gorgeous leaves. And unfortunately, because it was so pretty, people picked it and they brought it home. They wanted to display it in their houses and vases. And what happened then is, as Harry said, the flower became very scarce. So as we mentioned, when you're out and about, take a photograph, do your sketch, and please don't pick. Now, what type of areas is the violet found in, Harry?
Well, violets like woodland and shady. 'Cause
They-
they don't like dry anywhere where it's not shady.
They like woodland areas, and we're in a lovely
And
old
shady.
a lovely shady hedge bank today now, and violets will be there. And if you find a violet in along the hedge bank, it means that you have a very old hedgerow as well. So they're a good indication that this is a very old spot where we're in at the moment, and it's an absolutely beautiful spot as well. So when you're out and about, keep a lookout for violets along your park and along the hedgerow and in the woodland, and they sometimes appear in gardens as well. And if you want to help some violets and maybe the hedge is being removed, what you can do is gather up a little bit of seed. You can sow it, and next year then, if you grow 5 violet plants, put maybe 2 of them back into the countryside and keep 3 for your own garden. So please head outside and see if you can find a violet. Welcome back to Wildflower Safari. Harry, what flower are we looking at today?
Primrose.
Primroses, and primroses are the first roses of spring, and they're found in kind of shady places along hedges, and sometimes if you're very lucky, if you have an old garden, you might have them in your garden as well. Now, they're very easy to recognize. They have a lovely rosette of leaves, and the crinkly leaves are really important because they trap the heat of spring and they help the flowers grow quickly. And the primroses will be flowering for at least maybe another month or 6 weeks. And they're often a sign of a very old hedgerow. So you can say if you find violets and primroses together, that's a sign that you've got a very old hedgerow by your garden, in your community, or even in maybe a park or an estate where the hedges were left. Now the primrose has lovely bright yellow flowers, and there was a theory years ago, I suppose more a myth than anything else, that people used to believe that because the primrose was yellow, and if the cows let the primrose, they would have the yellow colour in the milk. And also many years ago, boys and girls would gather up primroses and bring them into school as well, and that's when primroses were a lot more common. I remember doing that myself when I was in school. Harry, did you ever do that in school, gather up the primroses and bring them in? No, so maybe those traditions, and it's a sign that the flower is not as common as it was. So please do head out and see if you can find a primrose in your community. Now, wildflowers can be great fun as well. And Harry, what fun flower have we got today?
Cleavers.
Cleavers. What can we do with cleavers, Harry? Show me what we can do with cleavers. Oh, you can stick it to people, and you can stick it on like that, and that's one of the best things about it. It's also called sticky back, or robin run the hedge, and variations of sticky. And I always see when boys and girls are out walking, they absolutely love sticking that to their teacher's back, or to the adult's back, or to each other's back. Now, of course, being out in nature is very good for kids with special needs. Now, Harry here is autistic, and he gets great sensory being outdoors, exploring the environment, and it's great for that as well. And they can also have a bit of fun as well, like we're having with the cleavers here. Now, for wildlife, what do you think? What colour are the flowers in this, Harry? They're small and white, aren't they?
Yeah, and they have sticky glue.
And these sticky grooves as well. And I think sorry, Harry?
Sticky hair.
Sticky hairs, yes, sorry. And also they're always good for young rabbits will hide in these, and they'll also eat them as well. It's one of nature's very good herbs. And when you want to have it in your garden, again, I keep it somewhere like in a bucket or maybe at the base of a hedge where it won't become too rampant. But the great thing about this is it's very easy to control. And I have to say that I have to do this to Harry since he did it to me. Here you go, Harry. I stuck it back onto Harry. Okay, Harry, sit back down there. Very good. Okay, so thank you very much for listening in, and do head out and see if you can find cleavers in your garden.